Thank you, Christopher. He'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm having fun with Linda and Linda, Gilden and Goldfarb over here. I really am. They've got this wonderful book entitled Linked. And if you go, you can find out how to purchase that. Just go to the website there. You see it there on your screen, and it'll direct you. I want to encourage you to go to that website if you have a computer. And, if you don't, get someone who does. They can print it off for you. You can go to the library. I know some of our viewers don't have a computer in their home, and that's okay. Just maybe find someone who does, maybe a grandchild or a child, or go to the library and ask them, would they print this off for you? And they will do that, all right? And then you can take it home and read it, and if you need that, go back again, tell people who have computers, would you help me find this information? And they will. This book, we were talking about personalities. If I want to know what personality I am, how am I going to know? You said there's an assessment.
There is. There's a 26 multiple choice assessment, 26 question multiple choice answers in the book. We try to make it very easy for everybody, and for male, female, doesn't matter. This really is the first one, is the general guide, or for general audiences, and you can go through there, and there's an assessment key, answer key in the back.
Right.
You can find out pretty quick what your dominant personality is and secondary. And we do find there'll be some people that go, well, what if I'm a little bit of everything? Well, we talk about that as well, and there's a lot more information that's on the linkedpersonalities.com website. And we try to give people everything that they possibly need to discover who they are. We also have, you might be a mobilizer if, or you might be a socializer if.
I love it.
And so we make it very relatable. And so many people, that's what they've said, Pastor Benny, is that this was easy for me. I didn't have, it wasn't difficult. And I immediately saw relationships, my other relationships in my family and stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are finding such success with this, is because the relationship aspect of it. Right. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And we are not the only personality system out there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So this is not new information per se, but we are hoping that we are presenting it in a fresh, new, easy, quick format that people can pick up, as you say, read in one sitting, or go, what they know their personality, they can actually go to that section and learn more about themselves. The thing is, we're not trying to compete with all these systems that have been in place for years, and there are parallels. We just chose to use words that are familiar, whereas some of the other systems, it takes you a while to kind of grasp the concepts.
When people say I'm type A, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, when you say I'm an organizer or a socializer, bingo, I know.
You get it, yes.
Which is practical.
Yes.
I mean, it really is for everyone. And so knowing this, and knowing each of your personality traits, do people of say, various personality traits, backgrounds, have difficulties processing things? For example, for you, Linda, as a socializer, you might process group dynamics one way, versus Linda over here, because Linda processing them a little differently because she is more of an organizer.
Absolutely, that's a great question. We in the assessment, or throughout the book, we also talk about how the different personalities respond. We call them responders.
Okay.
And my personality, the socializer, is a fast responder. The mobilizer is a fast responder, but for different reasons. The socializer is a fast responder because the socializer just likes to go out there. We want to do whatever we're going to do. We might change our mind very quickly and go over here to one thing and process one thing over here. Mm-hmm. The one thing with our processing, we may not finish what it was that we started, but we're excited about what we started. And so we're trying to get to a lot of things.
Right.
The mobilizer is a fast processor or responder. But the reason the mobilizer does it is because it's so much faster if I do it myself. I just want to do it myself, get it done the way I want it done, and it just takes too much time trying to explain to other people what they need to do, and it's faster if I do it for myself. But they both process quickly. Where the organizer
think about it.
and the organizer and the socializer, yes, the what is it? The socializer jumps in and then wonders, should I have? And the organizer goes, I wonder if I should, and makes the wise choice in that one. So, but the other personality.
I'm thinking, and how I see that just in talking with you ladies, because I know Linda, and I know you, but I know Linda much better, but, I can just see the two different dynamics here at play and responding to situations. Something, as you're talking, this would be a great book for some of these pastors and hard-headed deacons, or deacons and hard-headed pastors, to sit down and go through. I mean, it really would, because, they could begin to understand. Because, again, life is about relationships.
It is.
And, even in the local church, we're finding pastors and people talking about relationships. We want you to be part of our fellowship. We want to develop a relationship with you. And by the way, talking about relationships, we have prayer partners. Many of you have called in tonight, and we want to encourage you. Go to that telephone, call us with whatever your prayer request might be. We want to pray with you and encourage you. We want to have, taking their words, a relationship. Yes. And we want to be linked with you through the power of the Holy Spirit. But we can't if you don't give us a call. So go to that telephone. You see the number right there. We're ready to pray with you, to interact with you, and encourage you. Now, again, going to the concept of these personalities, can you develop, for lack of easier understanding for our people, can you shift your personality traits? I'm not trying to get heavy, but no. Can personality traits be shifted?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
I'll turn it over to Linda.
Go ahead. Yeah, Miss Thinker, go ahead.
Yes. Well, we often even refer sometimes to the stabilizer personality. It has a little bit of the chameleon.
Right.
Part to him or her where they can kind of shift into that role. But the truth is that all of us at times can act as we may be expected or as the situation may deem. And so, it's not like this, okay, you're in this box and there's no getting out. It's it's less of a box and more of maybe a bubble that can go like this. And so yes, the short answer to your question is yes. But I think we actually, once we know what our personality is, we see ourselves dealing with situations within the confines of that personality, but sometimes that bubble does go this way a little bit. Or, for instance, I mentioned speaking a while ago, which is not necessarily your introvert's cup of tea to be in a big group situation, and yet when we walk in that room, from that moment on, we are the speaker. We are walking over to people, introducing ourselves, which is not super comfortable if you're an introvert. But if you can prepare yourself, if you know that about yourself, which is what we're trying to do is equip you, then before you ever go in, you have a few questions in your back pocket. So you know when you walk over to someone you don't know, you introduce yourself and you have a nice question to start that with. And so, yes, the answer is yes. I think that you don't want to do that for a long period of time because it does exhaust you. And we all have our strengths in different situations.
Right. I see this a lot working with parents and working with couples. And if I'm speaking to a wife and say her husband is a stabilizer personality, and she is a socializer personality, and she's at home, she's taking care of the children, it's been a really long day, but she's been doing everything children, everything mom, and then it's Friday night, and she wants to go, and she wants to just go and relax and have some fun. Dad's been working all week long. Dad may be in charge of a huge organization. He may have to dictate and speak to people and get them to do what they need to do all week long. And he comes home, he's exhausted. she's raring to go. And what she may see is that, well, you're out there giving your best to your job because you do a lot of things. You're outgoing at work. You're doing all of that. But at home, you don't do that for me, so I'm not as important. What they discover when they realize what's happening with the personalities, the wife goes, wow, you are working out of your natural place at work, and you need a respite when you get home. You need to relax. And so when they do that, then he can be recharged to go out later. It's kids, leave Daddy be.
Listen, Magali.
He needs to have that downtime. And if we do that, and then him in turn, she has been with the kids.
Yeah.
Well, but you play with the kids, isn't that the same? It's not the same. It's not the same. And so she wants to have that fun time. And for him to say, your fun time is not what I would think would be fun. What would you like to do?
Yeah.
And really take care of her in that way. And then it feeds into each other, and the personalities start relaxing, I think, at home. And then the children go, whoa, this is a good place. This is a nice place to
because
be.
they're not the heated conversations that can
Or the
sometimes...
exhausted conversations.
Yeah. And now, this is information that, quite seriously, I wish I had known or at least been able to integrate 35 years ago, 40 years ago. I mean, really, I guess all of us would say that. And yet, it stands to understand that out of this one book that you have written, there are going to be several more forthcoming.
Yes.
And so I know we're going to... Give us just a little taste of that. We'll have a song in a moment and we'll come back. But give me a little taste. What are we looking at down the road?
Well, the very next one will be out soon. We're hoping probably in a couple of weeks we'll see the linked quick guide for personalities for educators. Okay. And what we have done with that one, there'll be the assessment will also be in that one. We'll always include that because we want people to know who they are and what their personalities are. But for the educator one, and we'll be doing similar things with other ones, but for the educator one, we identify the personality of the teacher. And there's a big section in there. If you are a mobilizer teacher, how do you relate to your mobilizer students? Number one, because they're going to be doing this the whole time. They both want to be in charge. So how does that mobilizer teacher get that mobilizer student to recognize the authority of the mobilizer teacher? The same way, how does the mobilizer teacher relate to the socializer? How are some ways that they can relate assignments? How can they integrate them into the classroom in a way that shows their strengths and that they will be happy to do rather than not? They may have a stabilizer child, a student who is not doing all the work, and instead of knowing how to relate to that, her punishment, the teacher's punishment, may be to give them more work, which is not bother the stabilizer, or maybe even to put them in a isolated situation if they're young, that may be staying in from recess. Guess what? Stabilizer's okay with that.
That's right.
So you want to be careful you know what to do to help them learn. You don't want to spend your time trying to discipline but if you can help them learn within their own style. Right. And so that's what we try to do within the educator book. We've also included how do they get along with other teachers of other personalities and with parents of their students.
Are you listening? Are you learning? We're going to be right back. We're going to hear more about the other books that will be forthcoming. So don't go anywhere. I hope we're whetting your appetite. Christopher Sims, back to you. Come on, Christopher.